Good morning, everyone. We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, via YouTube streaming, and via Skype. Beauty is the seed of awakening. Beauty is the seed of awakening. Everything in existence is manifestation of silence, the stars, the sun, the moon move in silence. The plants, the leaves, all growth happens in silence. Silence is beauty. Silence is the communion between you and me. Whatsoever is indeed is beautiful in you, hide it, never act it out. Whatsoever is truthful in you and valuable, hide it, because whenever a truth is hidden in the heart, it grows like a seed. It grows like a seed hidden in the earth. Do not throw it out. If you throw a seed on the street for everyone to see, it will die. To no purpose. It will die to no purpose. It will simply die, and there will be no birth for it. Truth needs to be hidden in the heart, and only then it will grow into a beautiful flower. Treat all that is beautiful, good, and true just like a seed. Treat all that is beautiful, good, and true just like a seed. Give it some soil and a hidden place in your heart, in your qalb, but do not display it. However, just the opposite is done by everybody. Whatsoever is wrong, you hide it, and you do not want it to be known by others. Whatsoever is ugly in you, you hide, and whatsoever is beautiful, even if it is not, you try to advertise, magnify, and display. Hence there is misery, because the ugly grows. Growth happens in silence. Growth happens in the womb of the earth, hidden in the darkness. And when something is left exposed, it is destroyed. You try to advertise, magnify, and display it. Hence there is misery, because the ugly grows and the beautiful is lost. The untrue grows, it becomes a seed, and truth is thrown away. The precious is thrown away and the rubbish grows. You become like weeds. No flower comes to your life because you have never done the right thing. Hidden the seed of the flower within. This opposite is the path. I say this is one of the most secret keys of Tao. It is one of the most secret keys of Tao. A man of Tao remains ordinary. Man of substance remains ordinary, absolutely ordinary. Nobody knows who he is. Nobody knows what he carries within him. What treasures does he have? He never advertises and he never tries to display. But why do we advertise? Why do? It is always because of ego. You are not satisfied with yourself. You are satisfied only when others appreciate you. You may have a valuable stone, but it is not enough. What is indeed important is that others must appreciate it, that you have a beautiful stone. Others' opinion is more valuable to you than that of yours. You live in the opinion of others, not your own. Others' opinion is more valuable, not your being. You look into others' eyes as if they are mirrors, and if they appreciate you and applaud you, you feel good. Ego is the false phenomena. It is the accumulation of the opinion of others, not in knowledge of self. The self, the so-called self, which is really the ego, is nothing. The false identity is nothing but the accumulation of reflections, and then there is always fear. Others may change their mind. You are always dependent on them. If they say you are good, you have to follow their rules to remain good. You have to follow them to remain good in their eyes. Certainly once they change their opinion, you will be no longer good. You have no direct approach to your being. It is always via others. Always via others. So you not only advertise, you magnify, you falsify. You may have a little truth, a little beauty, but you signify it and it becomes ridiculous. Do you display the seeds when you buy it? You plant it, you hide it in the womb of the earth for it to grow. Allow the seed of goodness, allow the seed of beauty to be hidden deep within the heart so that it can grow. Heart provides the soil for the seed to grow. You depend. I have heard it happened once at a hill station on the lawn of the famous hotel that 3 elderly women were playing cards. A fourth approached and she asked if she could join them. They said, "Of course, you are welcome. But there are a few rules." And they handed over a printed card with 4 rules on it to the new entrant. First was, never talk about your mink coats. The first rule was never talk about your mink coats because we all have them. Second, never talk about your grandchildren because we are all grandmothers. Never talk about your grandchildren because we all have our grandchildren. Third, never talk about jewelry because we all have precious jewelry purchased from the best places in the world. Fourth, never talk about sex. What was, was. These are the 4 rules. The first, never talk about your mink coats, we all have. Never talk about your jewelry, because we all have and purchase it from the most precious shops. Never talk about your grandchildren, because we all have grandchildren. And never talk about sex. What was, was. And these are all the 4 things that we talk about. But everyone wants to talk about himself, his mink coats, his jewelry, his children, and his sex. Everyone. And everyone bores everybody else. And if you tolerate fools, you tolerate them only because it is a mutual understanding. If he is boring you, you will allow himself to be bored by you. If he is boring you, in that he is allowing you to be bored by you. You are just waiting. When he stops his display, you start your own. And the whole of life becomes a continued display. What do you achieve through it? There is just a false feeling that you are important and extraordinary. Not in your eyes, but in the eyes of the others, because they say so. How can one become extraordinary by having mink coats? How can one become extraordinary by owning valuable jewelry? How can one become extraordinary by doing this or that, or by talking about the sex, about their sex activities? Extraordinariness is not concerned with what you do. Certainly it is concerned with what you are. Extraordinariness is not concerned with what you do. Certainly it is concerned with what you are. And you are already extraordinary, unique. Everyone is unique. There is no need to prove it to anyone. If you try to prove it, you will just prove the opposite. If something is already the case, how can you prove it? If you try to prove it, you simply show that you are not aware of the uniqueness that has already happened to you. The uniqueness that you are. So if you want to prove something, it shows that you are doubtful about it. Remember this. If you want to prove something, it shows that you are doubtful about it. You want to destroy your doubt through the eyes of the others and their opinions. You are not really convinced of your beautiful being. You are not convinced of your beautiful person, and you would like others to say that you are beautiful. You may go on thinking about a beautiful person, but nobody thinks that way about you, because everybody is concerned with his own beauty, not with yours. And if anybody nods and says, yes, you are beautiful, he or she is just waiting for you to nod about his or her beauty. If someone says you are beautiful, she is expecting you to return in the same compliment to her. You fulfill your ego. I fulfill yours. I know well that you are not beautiful. You know well that I am not beautiful, but both fulfill each other's ego. And everybody seems to have a great need to feel unique. That means you have not yet come upon your own being, which is unique, without the need of any proof. You are unique and you don't need any proof. Proofs are necessary only for lies, remember. That is why you cannot prove God. Because He is the ultimate truth, the ultimate in uniqueness. Proofs are needed only for lies. Truth needs no proof. Truth simply is. You are unique and extraordinary. If you are not convinced about uniqueness, who is going to be convinced about it? Conviction is beyond proof. And how does it come? It comes through self-awareness. So there are two ways: knowledge, direct knowing oneself. This is direct. And what is direct? Knowing oneself directly, immediately, and this is the right way, the only way. And the wrong way is knowing oneself through others. What they say. And if you do not know yourself, how can they know you? Man arfa nafsahu arfa rabbahu, says one of the hadiths. One who has known himself, he has known God. He has known that which is. They are far away. You are the nearest person to know yourself. If you do not know your reality, how the others will know? But because we lack self-knowledge, we need a substitute. And what is the substitute? Ego is the substitute, and ego is on a constant display. You are just like a display window or showcase in a market. You have become a commodity. You have reduced yourself as a commodity on display, and you start always begging for someone to say, you are good, beautiful, saintly, great, and extraordinary. Tao is against it. So am I. Because Tao says that this is how you waste your life. The same energy can move directly towards your being. And when the being is revealed, it is extraordinary, it is unique. So a man who is in search of self-knowledge will remain ordinary in the eyes of the others. He will remain ordinary in the eyes of the others. He will not bother. He will hide himself and not display. He will remain silent, live silently, enjoy life silently, moment to moment as it comes. He would like nobody to bother about him, because whenever somebody bothers about you or thinks about you, it is going to be difficult and complex. Self-knowledge becomes more and more difficult. You have to go there alone. And if you are looking at the crowd, if you think that the crowd has to follow you, you will never reach it. You will never attain to it. If you are an exhibitionist, then you will remain a commodity. You can never become a person, because person is hidden deep in the recesses of your being. It is the deepest possibility in the whole existence. You are the greatest abyss. Nobody else can go there with you. You will have to go alone. And if you are so concerned about others, what they say, what they think, you will remain on the periphery. That is one thing. The second thing is this: just be on display. You hide whatsoever is ugly in clothes, words, gestures, mosques, masks and actions. You try to hide whatsoever is ugly and wrong. What are you doing? This wrong will find the soil. It will become the seed inside and will grow. And the more you push it in, the more you are throwing it towards the source of all energy, and it will be strengthened. And the beautiful you throw out on the streets, and it will never become a seed. It will never become a seed. Just do the opposite. If you have something ugly, show it to others and then disperse. If you are an angry man, tell everybody, I am an angry man, do not love me or be a friend to me. I am a bad man, I am ugly, I am immoral, I am greedy, I am sexual. Say whatsoever is ugly about you. Not only say it, but authentically act it out. It is in the profits of my public vices that I nourish my private virtues. This was a sentence that emerged out of me long ago, almost 3 decades ago. It is in the profits of my public vices that I nourish my private virtues. It is in the profit of my public vices that I nourish my private virtues as seeds. And you will be surprised that whatsoever, that whenever something is thrown out, it disperses, it disappears, it dissolves. And hide the beautiful, let it go deeper, so that it can find roots in you. It can find the roots in your being, and it will grow. And you have been doing just the opposite. I remember an incident long ago. I was still teaching in the university. That is the example that I am going to give. I just mentioned the end of it. It was the occasion of All India Econometric Conference. I had a friend, a professor, who was to present next morning a paper. There were certain participants who wanted us to accompany them for evening outing. We are not interested, so my friend decided a plan. According to the plan, we had gathered some empty alcohol bottles and glasses in our room with a few drops of alcohol on our clothes. So when the people came to take us, we pretended as if we are drunk. He started talking and walking like the drunkards, both of us. Seeing the situation, they said it is useless to carry them with us. They went alone. Thus we were spared. Next morning the research paper was presented, and it was then that something spontaneously emerged out of me. It is in the profits of my public vices that I nourish my private virtues. It is in the profits of my public vices that I nourish my private virtues. It was somewhere in 1978 or 79. He did not care about the people and whatsoever they had to say. This is Taoist approach. Since then it has become an important saying. This is the Taoist way, because a Taoist hides his virtues even if he has to exhibit public vices. One should use the public vices to nourish private virtues. It is in the profits of my public vices that I nourish my private virtues. Only this much for this morning. Take care and do have a peaceful day.